Guys, we know what happened. Deshaun Watson demands the trade, ends up going to the Browns. The Houston Texans get 3 first-round picks, including the 13th overall pick this year for Watson. And I just want to give you a full preview of how I would rebuild the Houston Texans, what I would do, the moves I would make, give a full 2022 mock draft with that added first-round pick, kind of my philosophy behind rebuilds and things like that. I did a video like this with the Seattle Seahawks when they traded Russell Wilson, and I think the one main issue when it comes to some of these teams rebuilding, they never fully commit to it. So if I was the Houston Texans, the first thing I would do is I would look at this QB class in 2022 and say, do you see a franchise quarterback in this class? Do you see a surefire thing in this class? And the answer probably is going to be no. So if I was Houston, I would 100% tank this year. Guarantee yourself a top 2 or 3 overall pick so you can draft either Bryce Young or CJ Stroud. Lose 14 or 15 games. It sounds like that's kind of what they want to do. They're committed to Davis Mills, who I personally don't view as a viable option. I mean, I think he could be a pretty good backup in the league, maybe in the future, but right now, he's just not a viable starter. Davis Mills, that is. And that'll be his second year, so it'll be interesting, but looking at the Texans roster, they've got 2 big contracts. I would trade right now Brandon Cooks. He does not fit with the timeline. He's a good receiver. You could get a legitimate asset, 2nd or 3rd round pick back for him. This draft, I always talk about it. The 2022 draft is so deep with talent. Getting even an early 3rd rounder back, that's a legitimate asset. So you got to trade Brandon Cooks right now. By the time you're good again, by the time you have your young quarterback in nucleus, Brandon Cooks is going to be too old. So he needs to be traded for a young pick that you can turn into a young asset to help your future young quarterback. That's what I would do with Brandon Cooks. And then Laramie Tunsil, they said they weren't going to trade him. I simply don't understand the thought process behind that. If the reason you're not going to trade him is because of his contract, why not just eat some of his contract to make him more attractive to other teams so you could potentially get a 2nd round pick back for Laramie Tunsil? There are teams that are very desperate for offensive tackles right now, and Tunsil, he's a bit overpaid. Eat some of his contract. It's not like you're going to use the salary cap. You're tanking next year. You don't need to use all of the salary cap signing free agents or anything like that. You've got a bunch of cap room. Use it. Eat some of the Laramie Tunsil contract to make him more tradable. A team's not going to want to take on $17, $18 million per year for Laramie Tunsil. If you eat half of it, then a team would only take on $9 million. That would get you a better pick, maybe an early 2nd round pick. So trade Brandon Cooks for maybe a late 2nd, early 3rd round pick. I don't know his value, whatever you can get. And then Laramie Tunsil, eat some of the contract because you can afford to do it because you're tanking. You have tons of cap space available for the next 2 years. A lot of these guys are going to be on rookie contracts that you do get. Laramie Tunsil, Brandon Cooks both get traded, maybe a 2nd and 3rd round pick. Get more assets, get as many assets as possible for the 2022 draft. And then when it comes to the 2022 draft, I'm already thinking about the 2022 draft with, the idea in the back of my mind that I am going to be drafting either Bryce Young or CJ Stroud, that I am going to be drafting my franchise quarterback in 2023. Maybe another guy emerges in 2023 to where you draft him. I don't know. It doesn't have to be Bryce Young or CJ Stroud, but just those are the 2 favorites right now to be the potential franchise quarterbacks, the very first 2 picks in 2023. So if I'm Houston, I'm thinking of building an offensive line, a young offensive line. I'm thinking of getting my young quarterback receivers. And then maybe, if there's positions available, drafting a defensive player if he falls to me, if the value is so good. So it's really a best player available thing, but it's mainly focused on the offense because I want to have all these different options for my young quarterback, give my young quarterback the greatest chance of success possible. We see all these situations like Jacksonville, putting Trevor Lawrence in there, he's got no chance. The same thing with the Jets and Zach Wilson. The same thing with the Bears and Justin Fields. You want to draft your offensive playmakers before you draft your young franchise quarterback. So when your young franchise quarterback comes in, he will already have those offense. So I would take this draft and I would say, let me make my future quarterback's job a little bit easier. And that is why I'm going to employ the trade down strategy. I have the number 3rd overall pick right here. As you guys can see, we're going to go into this right now. I've got the number 3rd overall pick, and we're going to start it. Aiden Hutchinson, Thibodeau both get drafted. So right now I could take Kyle Hamilton. I could take an offensive tackle, Akeem Ekwonu, who I would have currently going number 1 overall. I think Akeem Ekwonu is the next Orlando Pace. I love him. You could take Evan Neal, get that franchise left tackle. But I'm at the point right now where I can trade down in the first round and still get an offensive tackle like a Trevor Penning, who I view as very good. Get more assets, get another young receiver for my quarterback, get another young guard for my quarterback, maybe get a good defensive player. So I'm going to look to trade down right now. I'll go further than 5th. I would probably want to trade down to maybe 8th or maybe even 15th. I really do not care about, actually, no, let's trade to 8th. I don't want to trade too far down because I would like to get my hands on Garrett Wilson personally. So I want to trade number 3 for 8. We also want 43 and we also want 50. There's no way. Okay, this is a bit, I think, guys, this is a bit unrealistic. Yeah, this is not. So the trade AI is treating me very nicely right now. Yeah, no. Do I have this on easy mode? There's no way they would accept this. So I would say maybe a realistic making the jump from 8 to 3, 43 and 58 and maybe 114. So I could also get 74, but I want to keep this realistic. I don't think that's realistic. I don't think they would trade all of that. So we're going to do this trade. We're going to move down 5 spots and then get 43, 58, and 114. Those are 3 really good assets to get, and they're probably going to accept that they are. So we get 3 more assets, and we get pick number 8. And so I'm looking right now, and I'm seeing a lot of different options, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to draft a really young, talented receiver for my quarterback next year. I'm not drafting the quarterback this year. I'm not drafting my franchise quarterback, but I want to put him in a great position next year so he can succeed. So I am going to take the number 1 receiver in this draft according to my big board. He's the number 4 overall player in the draft on my big board. It is Garrett Wilson. I love Garrett Wilson. He is an absolute beast. And then we've got another pick here. So you look at a guy like Tyler Linderbaugh, I'd say that's not great value for a center, but I could look for maybe an offensive lineman. We see a guy like a Trevor Penning. And you know what? You take a look. We want to help our young future quarterback out. This is a full rebuild. We're embracing tanking this year. If we trade Laramie Tunsil for a second-round pick, we're going to need young tackles. Trevor Penning, I believe, could end up being a top 10 pick from Northern Iowa. He is huge. He's a bully, and he moves really well for someone at his current weight. I will take Trevor Penning, and then we will let this thing go. And you take a look at all of our assets, 37, 43, 58, 68. We can look right now and see you've got some certain guys available that maybe you want to take a Jaquan Brisker. Maybe they like Matt Corral. Maybe you take a quarterback. I am using the current mindset that we will be drafting our quarterback next year. So I'm going to just look for other options. It's crazy how low they have Kenny Pickett ranked, isn't it? It's funny how, or I don't know if it's funny, but it is crazy. I would like to get Breece Hall too. I'm just going to say that I would like to get Breece Hall. But what we're going to do right now, maybe we'll look for another receiver as George Pickens is available. I don't want to go too heavy on receiver. Do you take a George Pickens to pair him with Garrett Wilson? Oh, this is where it gets scary. So this is why it's going to get scary, because we also have 43, 58, 60, and 80. Okay, I'm completely rebuilding this team. Yeah, we're going to draft George Pickens. On one side, Garrett Wilson. On the other side, George Pickens. Maybe we can also go with the trifecta and draft David Bell and put him in the slot. Dude, I rebuild these teams. It's so easy. Yes, I know you're saying I'm neglecting defense. We're going to take defense. We're going to take defense next, but I need to get George Pickens. I need to take George Pickens. We take George Pickens there, and now you're saying who's a defensive player to take? Drake Jackson, maybe Logan Hall, the big guy, Christian Harris. I do love me some Brian Asamoah. That's my guy. That's my linebacker. We're probably going to end up taking him. Troy Anderson is another interesting guy. I do want Breece Hall. I want Breece Hall badly. They need a good running back. Kyler Gordon is falling down boards. He may be a value play. Trey McBride. They need a tight end. You want a big tight end for your young quarterback. It's so important. If you have a young rookie quarterback, please make sure you have a big-bodied tight end. It's such a comfort zone option. It's a big target for your young quarterback. It's going to help him out so much. Trey McBride, we might be able to get him with pick 58, but we should probably go defense, and we will go with the leader, the linebacker, the hybrid linebacker that can cover receivers. That's how impressive this kid is. Of an athlete, Brian Asamoah. and gonna take him. Next, we have pick 58. Oh, I wanted Trey McBride. All right, I understand. The AI sniped me. Maybe we go another tackle. Abraham Lucas here. Cameron Thomas, Breece Hall. We're going to have to go Breece Hall. We're going to have to go Breece Hall here. I want to build the entire offense for my quarterback and then draft my quarterback. The thing is, we can get defense in free agency. Breece Hall. Come on, love me some Breece Hall. And then we have another pick. See, this is why you trade down. You keep getting these picks, and we could get a guy like a Dylan Parham. What else? What other picks do we have? 80 and 108. So I would say Cameron Thomas is probably the best value here. Get a good pass rusher. I like that. I think we should take Cameron Thomas. Martin Emerson is another guy I love. Love me. Maybe I should. No, I won't have to trade back up. If David Bell is available at pick 80, it's going to be so hard for me not to pick. If David Bell or Brandon Smith is available, I will pick him. But Cameron Thomas, this is a potential franchise-type pass rusher you're getting. All right, so looking at pick number 80 we are on now. And, yeah, what I'm going to have to do, I do always Isaiah Likely. Isaiah Likely is interesting. Jeremy Ruckert as well. Wow. Jalen Weidermeyer. I knew he was overrated, but they have moved him down so much. This kid was like the top tight end going into the combine, this tight end from Texas A&M. He's like the 8th tight end now, and I said that. I called it. I said he was overrated. He didn't use his weight. He runs off balanced. It's really weird if you watched him at the combine. Offensive tackles, we can hold off on that now. That would be kind of a reach. Dylan Parham, that would be a guy to take. Max Mitchell is another high upside guy to look at. Braxton Jones is another high upside guy to look at. Receiver, it's like I don't want to keep, like, David Bell is there. Like, I'm going to have to take that. Next pick I have is 108. Look, needs every position. Quite literally, it is every position. We're not going to take David. Well, I want to make this realistic. I would love to take Carson Strong, but this is the idea. We build for next year. We build for CJ Stroud. We build for Bryce Young. This is a fully embraced rebuild to where the Houston Texans fans should be rooting against their team next year because it's better to go 2-15, get the number 1 pick, get Bryce Young, than it is to go 5-12, get the 10th pick, and not be able to draft an elite quarterback. That's why you should be rooting against your team. Your team should fully embrace a 1-year tank, get weapons around you. We are going to go Dylan Parham, get a nice guard. This is a franchise-type guard. Let's just take, is Cole Strange available? No way. Yeah, dude, Cole Strange is, oh my goodness. Cole Strange is so good out of Chattanooga, guys. This guy's, he's moving up my board. He's almost into the first round right now. My next big board is coming out soon. We are taking Dylan Parham. We need help along the offensive line. We saw what happened with Cincinnati and Joe Burrow. You need to get help. And we have this next pick now. We might just go back. I do like Bailey Zappi. Ooh, Bailey Zappi is such good value. But again, it's like you want to save it. Myjai Sanders. Myjai Sanders is great value there. Also, you guys want to know, when you're into this, what is this, the 3rd round or 4th round? The cornerback position is one to look at. Always look at the cornerbacks because normally there's someone that's like Kobe Bryant. That's a great guy that's available. Looks like Cam Taylor-Britt was taken. Cam Taylor-Britt is, I love Cam Taylor-Britt. Was he taken? Yeah, he always seems to go. Cam Taylor-Britt always seems to get drafted right before pick 100, so if you're trying to get him, he is a dog. If there's one word to describe Cam Taylor-Britt, it's dog. But guys, I'm just looking for best player available. How tall is Kobe? He's 6'1". This kid is a really good player. I think he's going to be a really good NFL pro. He's just got something in him. I like him a lot. So we'll take him at the corner position. We will look for a high upside tackle. Maybe there's a Max Mitchell. Max Mitchell got picked. That makes sense. Other positions I will look at. We already got a running back, tight end. Cade Otton, maybe. How tall is he? They do need a tight end. We'll have to take him. We'll take him. Yeah, we need a big-bodied tight end to develop under. I know they also have Brevlin Jordan from Miami. Is that correct? That's who Houston has, Brevlin Jordan. I remember him. He was a top recruit from Miami. So maybe someone like him who could be a hybrid tight end, kind of like an Evan Ingram. Evan Ingram, yeah. Next, we have 184. So, again, this is the type of picks you're just looking for best player available. I like the upside with JT Woods due to his speed at the safety position. I view him as kind of a ball-hawking safety. He's one of the more underrated players in the draft. I always end up picking him. He's like he's the human victory cigar at the end of the draft. When you're at the end of your draft, you just want to have a good vibe going. Take him, help rebuild your team. And honestly, I'm fine with trading these picks for next year picks. So like if we can trade, what pick is this? What round is this? So this is the 6th round. Like if we can trade this pick 205 for a 4th rounder next year, they wouldn't do that. Would they trade it for a 5th rounder? Normally teams would do that. They would. It's hard to explain. We'll make our picks, but I would be open to doing that. I would be open to trading it. We'll take a guard. Yeah, we'll take another guard. You can never have too many guards, but the thing that they always say? They always say you can never have too many centers. That's what they always say about that. We'll take another guard there. And then here, there's really not a... Kennedy Brooks I like, but I already have a running back. Probably going to look for maybe a linebacker, maybe some linebacker help, edge rusher. None of these guys. Yeah, I'm not too interested in any of those guys. Looking for more high upside guys. If I can find someone, maybe like a Jack Jones. Is Jack Jones available at the cornerback position? Sorry, guys. Let me just quick. Yeah, see, we're going to go with Jack Jones. He's more of a high upside guy to take. And then we have one more pick left, almost the last pick of the draft, it looks like. And again, guys, we're focusing on the offensive side of the ball because we want to build an infrastructure for our future quarterback. We can draft defense next year after drafting our quarterback. Remember, Houston has 2 first-round picks next year and the year after that because of the Deshaun Watson trade. So they have assets, and if you trade Laremy Tunsil, you get another 2nd or 3rd-round pick. You trade Brandon Cooks. I love Brandon Cooks, but honestly, I think Brandon Cooks probably wants to be traded. He wants to go to a contender, not this team. So Skyler Thompson, there's a veteran guy you always take at the end of the draft. Comparisons to Dak Prescott. I like Skyler Thompson a lot from Kansas State. I watched him at the Combine. I like what I'm seeing from him. And this is the full 2022 rebuild version of this. And we get hit with this porn subscription. We're not going to accept that. Oh, please don't do this to me. Please. I drafted such a good draft. Please load. And we got it to load. So, guys, don't pay attention to these grades. It's ridiculous. So, what I'm doing, my strategy, rebuild the offense, and then when you draft your quarterback, he will seamlessly fit in. So you trade down, get more assets. I could have gotten even more assets, but I just wanted to make it realistic. I don't think Atlanta would have given up their entire draft just to move up 5 spots. So that's why I only took 3. And then I drafted Garrett Wilson, a true number 1 receiver, a complete stud. I am so confident Garrett Wilson is going to make multiple All-Pros. It's not even funny. He is, the comparison for Garrett Wilson, Calvin Ridley, Trevor Penning. Get yourself a franchise offensive tackle in the 1st round. Make that investment for your future young quarterback. George Pickens, a superstar, bigger receiver who is underrated due to his injury at Georgia. He barely played his junior year. He's a physical freak, very similar to DK Metcalf. Those are 2 superstar receivers. Brian Asamoah, value pick. Unbelievable linebacker, hybrid, modern day, really quick. Breece Hall, get a star running back. He can run, he can catch. He ran a 4.3 40 at the Combine. Cameron Thomas, this is a superstar pass rusher I'm getting at pick number 68. Dylan Parham, add some beef to the middle. Love that pick. Kobe Bryant, this kid's a player. Cade Otton, you get a big boy tight end. JT Woods, it's a value pick. Josh Revis, get a big girthy guard. Then we took, Jack Jones and Skyler Thompson. That was just at the end. You take a high upside cornerback, and then you take a nice little quarterback. Maybe he can be your backup. Nice veteran presence. People have been talking about him. But this would be the first step in the rebuild. The number 1 mistake teams make when they're rebuilding a team is not fully embracing the rebuild. Houston Texans fans, root against your team next year. It's going to be good. Listen, it's going to be good for you in the long run if you get the number 1 overall pick and you draft a superstar quarterback and you've already got your franchise left tackle. You've already got a number 1 receiver. You've got a number 2 receiver. You've got a superstar running back. You've got a really good guard, right? You've got all these positions. Add on top of that all that free agent money you're going to be able to spend on defense, on a cornerback, on a pass rusher, on an interior defensive lineman that don't cost very much in free agency. It is going to be unbelievable. And then also on top of that, you've got 2 first-round picks next year, so you can take your franchise quarterback when you have the number 1 or number 2 overall pick, and then you can take maybe an elite tight end. You can take an elite pass rusher with your other first pick, and then the year after that, you also have 2 first-round picks, so this could be a great rebuild. It's tough. You had Deshaun Watson. You had a franchise quarterback. It didn't work out, but now is the chance to rebuild. Build your offense this year, then take your quarterback so you already have all the young weapons. I would also highly suggest next year during free agency, getting an elite offensive tackle, paying whatever it costs to get an elite offensive tackle. You've got Trevor Penning who will be ready. He started a year. Get another elite offensive tackle. So when you bring your quarterback in, when you draft CJ Stroud, when you draft Bryce Young, if that's the route they choose to go, they could draft a quarterback this year. They could just take Carson Strong in the second round if they wanted and say he's their franchise. I don't know what they're going to do, but I'm just saying if you're thinking about a sure thing franchise quarterback, CJ Stroud and Bryce Young, I would have graded over any of these quarterbacks currently. That's why I'm saying wait, tank this year, get a number 1 overall pick next year or a number 2 pick, and take the quarterback. That's my thought process. But guys, there's just a little bit of a rebuild on how I would do it if I was the Houston Texans. And then you know what? You got Trevor Penning on one side, invest some serious money on another offensive tackle, put him on the other side, even if it's a veteran for a year or 2. You just don't want another Joe Burrow situation happening where Joe Burrow is concerned about his life. He suffers the ACL tear, and then this past year he was just bombarded with pass rushers. You want to make sure you have an elite offensive line for your young quarterback and make it as seamless transition as possible for your young quarterback from college to the NFL. But guys, that is going to do it. What I would do, Houston Texans 2022 mock draft with their added first-round pick from the Deshaun Watson trade. Houston Texans rebuild. Make sure you're following me on Twitter. Link to that's always in the description. I'm, of course, the Depressed Ginger. Thank you for watching.